him before I turn it over to him to present. Chan-Young Lee is a senior research associate with the Intelligent Transportation Systems and Traffic Safety Team at CUTR. His primary areas of specialization are demand modeling, traffic flow simulation, and intelligent transportation systems. He received his PhD in civil engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He has more than 10 years of experience in various transportation planning and engineering research. Currently, he is serving as PI or co-PI for several motorcycle safety grants from the Florida Department of Transportation. And now, Chan-Young, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Christy. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I'm going to talk about motorcyclist attitude and behavior in Florida. Okay, I was trying to figure out how I can move the PowerPoint. Okay, the motorcycle is transportation is kind of mean of the traveling out of the cars and trucks and planes and trains. And motorcycle also be the one means of the transport. However, that we consider motorcycle is much more vulnerable to the injury and the crashes. And as you can imagine, the Florida is a state that is a magnet for the motorcycle riders, and weather is very accommodating for the motorcycle riders, and you can actually ride a motorcycle 24/7, 365 days. And then also the state of Florida is a host of several big bike events, such as Daytona Bike Week and the Bike Tour Fest. In fact, the 2012 Bike Tour Fest was starting from today, and it will be continued until the end of this weekend. In 2010, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles reported about 350 motorcyclist fatalities and another 33 passengers, the motorcycle passenger fatalities. In the same time, that NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, also reported the per vehicle mile traveled, motorcyclists were about 30 times more likely to involve in the fatal crashes compared to the passenger car. Which means, like, if you look at the number of registration and number of the amount of traffic on the road, based on the 2009 National Household Travel Survey in Florida samples, motorcycle takes about less than 1% of the trip. So which means if you are standing out there, then you look at the vehicles coming by the intersection, you will see 1 out of 100 will be the motorcycle in any given time. Florida has consistently priced above the national average in terms of the motorcycle crash compared to the vehicle crashes. And as you can imagine, that as I mentioned in previous slide, with the accommodating weather, for example, like some of the state in the upper region of the North America, like Wisconsin or Minnesota, those states you can only ride a motorcycle 6 to 7 months. However, in Florida, you can ride a motorcycle basically 365 days. So you can imagine that average vehicle mile traveled by the motorcycle will be much bigger in Florida. So as a result, it will be sort of natural to expect that Florida may have more motorcycle crashes in terms of proportion compared to those states. So we put if you can look at this chart here, this is a national trend, and this is the Florida trend. And the Florida, in terms of the proportion, nationwide, about between 1 to 1.5%. These days, about 2% of vehicle crash is involved motorcycles. In Florida, it was about 3% beginning of the 1991, and it came down to 2%. And right now, in 2009, is about 3.5%. So 3.3, which means that 3.5% of traffic crash involves motorcycle. So if you recall that, as I said, if you are standing on the intersection to look at the vehicles coming by, 1 out of the 100 or less would be the motorcycle. So you can see that the motorcycle would be more vulnerable in terms of involving the motorcycle, in terms of involving a crash. And this is the even more serious issue that you need to pay attention. That, as you can see, this is about percent of motorcycle fatalities to all vehicle crash fatalities by years. So in general, the motorcycle doesn't have protection as much as a passenger car at the moment of the crash by the vehicles. So you can imagine that motorcycle rider may be more vulnerable to the serious injury or becoming a fatalities. So in terms of the rate, it's about the 6%. So 6% of traffic crash fatality is coming from motorcycles. But now this number started to increase around the 2000, and then it hits almost 18%. So which means, like, in Florida, 18% of traffic crash involves motorcycles. I mean, the 18% of traffic fatalities. So now you will see, as I said, there are like 1% of motorcycles on the street, and then they involve, in terms of crash rate, they got like 3.5 times. And then in terms of the traffic fatality, they are like somewhere between 16 to 18% in terms of traffic fatalities. So now you can see how significant or how much is vulnerable for motorcycle riders in terms of traffic crash and then fatalities. So this is the number. As you can see, the motorcycle fatality in Florida was 276 in 2001, and 2010 is 383. And in terms of all traffic fatalities, was 3,013 in 2001, and 2,444 in 2010. So if you look at this one, this motorcycle fatality coming from 2001 to 2010 is about 39% increase. And in terms of all traffic fatality is 19% deduction. So you can see the difference in why the motorcycle fatality becomes much more significant portion in the traffic fatality, because one number actually increased by the almost 40% and the other number decreased by the 19%. Now you can see the difference. And then the other factor is motorcycle fatality, the motorcycle injuries, which you can see from this number to this number, about a 45% increase. And then for the all traffic injuries in traffic, this is about 17% decrease. And then also motorcycle involved in terms of the crash is increased by 30%, and all traffic crashes is about 8% decrease. So, of course, you also need to account for the increase of motorcycle registration. Between the 2001 and 2010, we almost doubled the motorcycle registration. But the things we should be more concerned is, you see, the increase of the motorcycle crash. We see the higher rate of motorcycle fatality increase and motorcycle injuries compared to the motorcycle crashes. So, which means during the past 10 years, we'll see much stronger increase of the serious motorcycle crashes. So this is something that we need to think about, and we need to work on it. In terms of distribution of the motorcycle crashes and compared to the endorsed riders, and you can see this line represents endorsed motorcycle riders in Florida. And as you can see, the age group between 45 to 54 takes about 29% of, in terms of the proportion in the endorsed motorcycle rider groups. And then they are but if we look at the crash data between 2005 and 2009, this age group represents about 19%. So considering the amount of endorsed motorcycle riders, you can say this rider group, this age group is underrepresented in the motorcycle riding in terms of motorcycle crashes. And however, you see this 16 to 20 group, which takes about 1% of motorcycle, the endorsed motorcycle rider population. However, in terms of crash data, they takes about 10%. So this portion of the people is like overrepresented in the crash data, and then this portion of the people is underrepresented in the crash data compared to the endorsed motorcycle riders. It will be still subject to the further discussion whether this endorsed motorcycle riding is fairly represent the actual actual motorcycle riding. Somebody could be in this age, they got the motorcycle rider endorsement at early age, and then they could stop. They are no longer riding. It's possible. But based on these two data, and you can see there is a disproportionate representation by the age groups. So I just said the younger riding group is highly is overrepresented in the crash data, but however, we also see the new trend, which is the increase of more aged rider groups. You see this this line for the age of 45 to 54, and then also age of 55 to 64, and they are like they used to be not the right now, in terms of the proportion, you see the increase of this 45 to 64 groups. Significant, it's like slowly or surely increased between the 2005 and 2009. And in the meantime, actually the proportion of young riders, they are still overrepresented. However, their trend is decreasing. But this group is relatively underrepresented. It was a relatively small portion compared to young riders. However, they have been increasing for the past 5 years. And one of the reasons is if you Google the if you Google for the motorcycle, you will see a lot of articles talking about retired baby boomer and riding motorcycles. And one of the research found out that riding motorcycle becomes #1 hobby for retired baby boomers. So this is a new trend, and then a lot of states reported the same findings, that you will see more and more people start riding at the age of 40 or even older. So to address this problem of motorcycle crash and the motorcycle safety being a very important subject for the state of Florida, and so to address the problem in an effective and efficient manner, a comprehensive approach of motorcycle safety is being employed through the Motorcycle Strategic Safety Plan in Florida. And what we are trying to do to improve this motorcycle safety in Florida, we also make sure that we measure the both opportunities and the level of improvement every year by doing evaluation and data collections. So basically, this webcast today is some of the findings that we got from the 3 surveys. And the CUTR is conducting the 3 annual surveys for the motorcycle safety under the grant of Florida Department of Transportation. So we have 3 surveys. One is called the Florida Motorcyclist Survey, and second is Florida Rider Training Survey, and third one is Florida Driver Surveys. And this webcast.
Chin-Young, if I can interrupt you, I have a question from the audience that might be applicable before you go over the results. They're wanting to know, can you define what an endorsed motorcycle rider is?
When we say the endorsed rider, is basically somebody who obtained the legal endorsement through the state. Because basically, to operate a motorcycle in the state of Florida, you have to have, and beyond your driver license, you have to have motorcycle endorsement. So there's a way that you can get the license without the driver license. So you can obtain motorcycle only license, but most of the case people get the driver license and then also they go for the further step to obtain the motorcycle endorsement. So to operate a motorcycle, you should have motorcycle endorsement. Okay, I think I can move on. So motorcycle endorsement, you can see we are talking about, I think it was 2 years ago that we just passed the 1 million endorsed motorcycle riders in Florida. And as you can see by the county, some county has more than 50,000 endorsed riders. And this is a distribution of state of Florida by county. And we have about 600,000 motorcycle registration every year. So this is a map to show the distribution of motorcycle registration by county. So as you can imagine that the motorcycle registration is high, which means the chance to have more crashes. As you can see, these counties on the southeast of Florida has higher motorcycle fatalities every year. This is the number from 2010. Within 1 year, how many motorcycle fatalities they have. And you can see like Hillsborough County being the high registration county, and then also the high motorcycle fatality county, same for the Pinellas County. And Volusia County is the one here, so you can see the high, and then Duval County is one and in here. By the way, the Volusia County is including the Daytona Beach, which is the host of Bike Week and Biketoberfest. So in terms of the proportion of the motorcycle fatality to the total traffic fatalities, you can see that what percent of your traffic fatalities is coming from the motorcycle. And in fact, this reveals something interesting. And here, this is Manatee County, and this is Pinellas County. And this is the Volusia County and the Flagler County. Those counties, like, even though their absolute number may be small, but they are the one has a high proportion in terms of motorcycle fatalities compared to the traffic fatalities. So when we conducted 2012 Florida motorcycle surveys, that we are trying to obtain responses and feedback from the all over the counties in Florida, and basically we set aside like when we sample the counties, we include we do the two-step sampling. First, like we want to make sure that 50% of our sample is coming from the top 10 hotspot counties. The hotspot county is being decided by the number of motorcycle fatalities. So every year, top 10 is about, and usually like number 1 to number 8 stay very same, and then number 9 and 10 can be changes. So this map shows how many responses that we collected from each counties. And then there were some counties that we were not able to get any responses, but there are counties that produced like 51 to 100 or more than 100 responses. So considering the total number of motorcycle registration and endorsement in Florida, this data set can be interpreted as a plus minus 3% of margin of error at the 95% level of confidence. This is the general characteristic of our survey respondent. As you can imagine, that most people we surveyed is experienced motorcycle riders, and about half of the survey respondents stated they have more than 20 years of experience, and they've been riding for more than 50,000 miles. And majority of respondents ride a motorcycle on a regular basis. And many respondents, motorcycle riding is a social and recreational activities. 7 out of the 10 respondents indicated their primary purpose of the riding is a recreational purpose. So, and then only the 16.2% of respondents indicate that they ride motorcycle for their commute. And this is something that you need to understand. Like, 76% of people are riding motorcycle for the recreation purpose, which means they are riding on the weekend. Like they are riding either Friday afternoon to like Saturday or Sunday, primary. And only the 16.2% of respondents indicate that they are riding for the commute. And the majority of people, majority of respondents indicate that they are riding, the thrill of riding and the freedom of open road that it offers is the primary reason they are attracted to start riding motorcycles. And another important factor that you should understand for riding motorcycles, and there are different types of motorcycles. Everything will be considered, for everything can be called as a motorcycle, but if you look at the inside of motorcycle community, and they're like sports bike, and there's cruisers and tourings, and on and off, and moped, and now you start to see more and more sports touring and standard and trike. So these bikes are like sort of the product of social culture. So like sports bikers, they do have their own community, and they do have certain style and certain behavior that they are doing it. So, for example, like for cruiser people would be more aged riders, and sports bikers would be the more younger riders. But sports biker tends to wear helmet much more than cruiser riders. So, it is very important to understand how what's the combination of your motorcycle people and what type of motorcycle they are riding. And in state of Florida, based on our survey, the most common motorcycle type that people riding is like a cruiser type, and it's followed by the touring and sports bikers. However, we also see big portion of sports touring, and this is more like a typically like a BMW type of motorcycle, and it does have the capacity to do the stuff that you can only do in the sports bike. However, those people are, in terms of their attitude and behavior, is more like to the cruiser riders. And one out of 4 respondents said they are the member of the riding groups, and you see that what kind of activity they are doing with their riding groups, and then in terms of group riding and social activity is the one that they do pretty often as a motorcycle riding group. And it was a little bit unfortunate to see that they have very small amount of activity to improve their safety or their skills. Okay, now I want to talk about, I want to have your attention on the motorcycle training and endorsement. Back in 2008, Florida started new motorcycle law, which requires the training for the people, anybody who is looking, any new motorcycle riders to looking for the motorcycle endorsement in state of Florida. So, which means that before the July of 2008, you could obtain the motorcycle endorsement in state of Florida without attending the formal training. So, let's say you run riding motorcycle from your dirt bike, and then somehow you manage to pass the test at the DHSMB or the designated facility by the DHSMB, you will receive you will be able to obtain valid motorcycle endorsement. But since July of 2008, now you have to attend X number of hours to that designate that was written in the state statute, and saying you have X number of like classroom training and X number of field training. So you have to have formal training, which is such as like MSF basic course, which is called the BRC, to obtain the motorcycle endorsement. So we ask people, say like, hey, did you complete the formal motorcycle training, such as MSF basic rider course, when you obtained your motorcycle endorsement? So you can see 64% of people said yes, and then 34% people say no. I mean, even before July 2008, that you could do the voluntarily attend this MSF basic course, and then you go to then you do the testing. However, it wasn't required by the law at that time. So as a result, you can see there are 64% of people say yes, I attended a formal training, and 34% people said I never attended training when I received the endorsement. And next question that we ask, so have you attended any formal trainings, any formal motorcycle safety training after your endorsement? So there are like 25% people say yes, and then 75% people said no. So if we can do the cross-step for these two questions, so this is a part of the endorsement. You see 65 and 34. These are the people say yes, and then these are people say no during the endorsement. And then this portion is about after the endorsement. So if you do the cross-step for these two questions, then you will end up finding this portion of the people, 28.2% of people who never attended any formal training because they were able to get the motorcycle endorsement without training, and then they didn't go back to, or they never attended ever since to any formal training, which means they do possess a valid motorcycle endorsement. However, they never attended any training. So if you are looking at out of 10 motorcycles in Florida, you need to understand that, let's say there are 10 motorcycles in Florida. Based on the Florida motorcycle crash data, because this is the only source we can check whether the motorcycle rider, I shouldn't say is the only source, but this is the primary source that you can check what percentage of people out there with valid motorcycle endorsement. And if you look at the motorcycle crash data, about the 75% of motorcycle riders, they do have a valid motorcycle endorsements. In other words, 25% are riding on street, and on average, they do not have motorcycle endorsement. And then out of this 75% people who are riding with a valid motorcycle endorsement, that you will see, based on our survey, 28% of people here is not, they never attended any formal training. So combination of these two will get you about 54% of the people out there those riders are, which means 46% of people out there who are riding motorcycle, who operate a motorcycle, they never attended the trainings. So then, most reasonable follow-up question would be that what's the matter? Is training makes any difference? And training, why we so obsessed with this training things? And this is one simple testing that we did over the summer. This is the one that we ask people to do the self-assessment on the riding skills and behavior compared to their peer riders. And then, for example, we ask people, say, hey, do you think you do better on controlling the motorcycle compared to your peers? So 5 being I'm much better, and 1 being I'm much worse. You can expect this sort of self-assessment bias that people think, most of people, they believe they are doing at least better than their peers. However, these answers can be also, but this answer can be used as a measure can be used as a relative measure for among the different questions. So for example, here, we asked wearing a safety helmet. So average of 4.27, which means oh yeah, I think more. So it's somewhere between I'm much better and I'm better. For this group, yes group is for somebody who attended the training during the endorsement, and somebody who actually attended another training after the endorsement. And the disease no group is basically they didn't have to, or they didn't attend formal training when they obtain their endorsement, and then they never go back or they never attended any formal training after the endorsement. And you can see this is like a self-assessment, so that people do evaluation, and but you can see the difference between this group and these groups. And then vice versa. So when we do the statistical test to figure to compare this whole group and this whole group, and the result is quite different. So one of the lessons that we found is people who are trained versus people who are not trained, they do have difference on the attitude. Especially like the riding skills can be a little bit different because like I mean naturally riding motorcycle requires more skills than just operating a car, and so it's like if you look at the literatures, then there is some mixed findings on the riding skills. I mean that impact the value of the training. One of the reason is because like you see the people get trained, and some of the people get trained actually they are taking advantage of those trained skills to take more risk. I mean that's certainly possible, but what you can see from this chart, especially under this portion, like this portion, you will see like there's like I mean, for example, this one, they're wearing the bright color clothing and reflective materials, and 3.53 versus 2.85. And here, like wearing helmet. So it does make a big difference in terms of attitude toward the safety between, depends on whether you got trained, I mean, you attended formal training or not trained. Let's look at another part of the question. It's about we ask people, say, are you like risk avoider or risk acceptor and risk seekers? So 60% of people said they are like a risk avoiders, and about 40% people said risk acceptor, and very small portion of people say they are risk seekers. And you can see this one, like how would you describe your general riding speed? And you can see that here, like risk avoider versus risk acceptor and risk seekers. And based on our CUTR test, you see the people who are taking risk or people are taking accepting the risk, they are doing actually their speed is relatively higher compared to risk avoiders. And same thing for riding 20 miles or more above the speed limit and in past 30 days. So basically risk avoiders say here like 1 or 2 times I did it versus like most of people say risk acceptor, they do more than 3 and 4 times. But I mean, it can be questionable whether like they really do it 1 or 2 times, or 3 or 4 times. However, there is a trend that you see this group versus this group is different, and the same thing for the riding motorcycle within 2 hours of drinking, and risk avoider and risk acceptor is different. So what I'm trying to say in here, and also this is another side evidence that somebody is saying risk acceptor versus risk avoiders, they do have quite a difference. Say this is a question that motorcycle crash result in that requires medical treatment. So you will see the people are taking more risk. They do ride in a faster speed. They do ride more on the within 2 hours of the drinking, and actually they also reported that more frequency of most motorcycle crash that resulting in medical treatment. And this is so for risk taking, risk avoid is all about attitude. It's nothing to do with your riding skills. So the people with different attitude will result different behavior, and it will affect different way of getting crashed. That's something we found out of these studies. And we asked people saying, what are the like your position? As you know, the year 2000, Florida became a state that you can ride a motorcycle without helmet if you are over 21 and have you have the proof of $10,000 or more, the Medicare insurance. But you don't have to have a separate motorcycle policy. In Florida, you can ride a motorcycle without the motorcycle policy. If you have either you wear helmet, or if you don't want to wear a helmet, you can wear if you have $10,000 Medicare insurance, then you can do it. So respondents were asked whether they're what's their position toward reinstating the Florida Universal Helmet Law, and they were strongly divided, and it's about 50-50. I see another thing that I didn't put in here is some of the female motorcycle rider is more supporting the helmet law versus the male motorcycle riders. So these are the list of the most commonly stated comment in our survey. It's drivers who are texting on their cell phone at the serious threat to the motorcyclist. Drivers should be required to take a motorcycle safety education and awareness course, and law enforcement in Florida can be improved, and there needs to be a harsher punishment for the motorist who injure or kill the motorcyclist, and the cost of the motorcycle safety course is too high, and elderly drivers in Florida are serious threat to motorcyclists, and more advertising for the motorcycle safety is needed. I mean, these are not the one out of those 13 responses. These are not just one or two. Frequency. This is at least more than 5 people put the similar or the same comments. So we just summarize those things here. Okay, let's move to the second survey. Is motorcycle training at FRTP schools. FRTP school means the Florida Rider Training Program. And Florida, as I said, the Florida law that became effective in July 1, 2008, mandated training for anybody looking for the motorcycle endorsement in the state of Florida. And in our survey, we contacted many different motorcycle schools because the survey only can be done with the half of the schools. So the way we did is we sent the packet of the survey to school that agreed to administer the surveys, and then they finish the survey, and then they'll put it in the envelope and seal it and send it back to us. So out of many schools that we contacted, we were able to work with a total of 8 different FRTP schools in Florida. And then the schools covers 12 different cities in state of Florida. And the survey was conducted in June and July of 2012. And overall, we got sample size about 500, and we asked people the course provide specific information on the following items. And then, as you can see, most people are pretty much strongly agree on these questions. So you can say we can say that FRTP program being very well received by most of the participants. But this is very interesting. We ask people reason for taking the BRC course. I mean, it can be a court order, or I'm a new rider and want to have a motorcycle endorsement, and then I have been riding and need a motorcycle endorsement, or somebody say I wanted to improve my skill. But this number is pretty interesting. You may recall at the previous slide I said based on the crash data, 75% of motorcycle riders with valid motorcycle endorsement, and 25% people out there actually riding a motorcycle do not have motorcycle endorsement. So this number, the 25 and 26%, is somehow matched, and then I think it's sort of the cross-checking. People who are coming to school that can get trained and get endorsed. They are saying, oh, actually, I've been riding and need a motorcycle endorsement. So in some way, the 25% is the number that actually we can trust a little more. And we ask people like, what attracts you to ride motorcycles? And 23% of people is said it is an expensive means of the transportation, and then 46% of people say it is the thrill of the riding and freedom of open road and it offers. So this is somewhat different from the motorcyclist survey, because in motorcycle survey, this is about 10% people, like 10% of people riding motorcycle for commute, and about 60% of people say they are using for the recreation purpose. So with the high gas price, I think we'll start to see that more and more people use motorcycle as a mean of the transportation for commute, and then I mean, you can imagine like motorcycle is very fuel efficient compared to the passenger cars. And which of the following was the most influential on your decision to start riding motorcycles? And you can see that most of people is highly motivated by their friends, and some by their immediate family, parents, brother, sister, even spouse. And then some of the people say like, I didn't get any influence by other people, but I just decided to ride motorcycles. So we asked the same question. So which of the following best describe you? The risk avoider, risk acceptor, and risk seeker. And this proportion is about the same. Like when we did the survey with the 2012 motorcyclist, the survey was like 60% and 40%. And then this was like somewhere like, I mean, with the round of errors, this is like less than 1% or around 1%. And these numbers are pretty similar, and we can see that how would you describe your motorcycle riding? I mean, we ask people like, how would you describe your motorcycle riding experience prior to taking a VRC course? And then you see like 50% of people here, they are somewhat experienced. I mean, we hope that they are experienced, that this experience coming from dirt bike or like their private land. However, I have a strong suspicion that some of this experience actually they obtain from street. So which means there are a lot of people are riding motorcycle on street, and so this is like pretty stunning research. And only like 30% people is like, I have never ridden a motorcycle prior to the course. So this is something that we need to understand. There are people who are riding motorcycle without the training or without the endorsement. Okay, this is riding within 2 hours of the drinking alcohol by genders. Like this is a question to the people, say how likely or not likely you will be involved in this behavior in the next 6 months or so. And you can see that there's a little bit of difference. The male respondent usually more aggressive compared to than the female respondent compared in terms of taking a risk. But something that I wanted to point out is, you see this is about our 2 hours of drinking alcohol by genders. So like 84% and 94% of people say, oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it. However, like when we ask like riding 20 miles or the more above the posted speed limit by then here, this was like, you see the male and female, or again, the male respondent is more aggressive on this part, saying, but there are good portion of the people. It's like 20% of the males say they may do it, and it was also confirmed in the 2012 survey that there are a lot of people actually do more than 1 or 2 or 3 and 4 times in past 30 days that they ride more than. They ride their motorcycles 20 miles per hour above the speed limit. And this portion of the people and say, oh, I mean, I never do it, or it's very unlikely to do it. It's very, it's about 50 and 61%, but compared to the previous one, this is pretty high. I mean, what I'm saying, this portion is pretty high in here, but this portion is pretty small, which means when people decide to ride a motorcycles, and they tend to have tendency that they ride on a higher speed. But the thing is, I mean, we can promote a lot of different things, like a lot of like use of this personal protective equipment. But with the 4 gears, but if you get onto, I mean, if you as a motorcycle riders and you get on the 3-digit speed, I mean, once you get crashed, I mean, chance is pretty high that you will be seriously injured. But also that the problem is this is a trend that people who are riding a motorcycles, they are riding a motorcycle just because they like to do this type of stuff. So this is like one of the things that we need to seriously thought about, how effectively we can talk to people and educate people. I mean, and this is like a I mean, I don't see any silver bullet at this moment, but this is this is a trend that who are riding motorcycles, they are riding motorcycle for speed, and if you are riding on the high speed, even if you have all required gears, you may be seriously injured. That is a problem. And another thing is like a gender. Like if you go to any event or any motorcycle survey, you will see more than 92 or 95% of people are like male riders. And it has been a trend or culture in the States and saying like husband is riding motorcycle and the spouse can sit on or riding on as a passenger. But however, we start to see the increase of the female riders. Now, like 15% of newly endorsed riders are female, and we start to see more and more female riders. And the other thing is the age. These are the people who are newly endorsed. And as you can see, like remember, like the beginning of the presentation, I talked about the increase of aged rider proportion in terms of motorcycle fatalities. And now you can see 40% of people who are looking for endorsement, they are, but these are the people who are coming to ride a motorcycle for the first time. And so we see the more and more newly endorsed rider, but they are not like young rider groups. So I can say that motorcycle, I mean, we need to understand this one, and we need to like even for like 55 over, like there are some people didn't ride a motorcycle until 55, and then they are looking for more motorcycle endorsement. I didn't have a chance to look at whether the people who've been riding and they're just looking for the motorcycle endorsement is unevenly or evenly distributed between the age groups, but that will be that's something that I will be checking later on. But in general, we can expect now you say like more than 50, I mean, not more than 50, but amount of 50% of people is like 35 or more. They're looking for the they're looking for the motorcycle endorsement. So in summary, I think this motorcycle, our survey, one survey was conducted like for the motorcycle who just completed the BRC course at school, and the other survey was conducted randomly selected motorcycle in Florida based on the motorcycle registration information. And both surveys revealed many interesting aspects of the motorcycle list. And we are at the moment that we are finalizing the report, and I think a full report will be should be available to the public by end of next month. And some of the issues that we've been dealing with, like unendorsed riders and formal motorcycle training, like risk-taking behaviors and rider attitude, and then we also have a lot of questions to see the exposure of our safety effort and safety campaign to those people. Riding motorcycle is fun. I mean, I can certainly understand that why more and more people want to ride a motorcycle. But we start to, I mean, as a result, we see some share of the motorcycle crash and fatality in Florida. And as we pointed out, Florida is a magnet for motorcycle riders. You can ride 24/7, 365 days, and weather is very accommodating. And also we have big bike event like a Biketoberfest and a Bike Week. And we've been seeing the continuous increase over like between 1999 to 2006. And then with the we started to take this problem to be more serious, and then Florida Department of Transportation make us has been making a serious effort, and numbers are some coming down. And but I think we want to continue this trend. But I've been seeing some of the preliminary results from the 2012, which is not too positive at this moment. So, but this is certainly the topic that everybody needs to be concerned, that everybody needs to be understand, to make a serious effort to how we can address it, how we can improve it. I think that will conclude my presentation, and this is my contact information, and if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, thank you very much, Chan Young. I will put your contact information back up towards the end of the presentation. For right now, I wanted to open the floor up to questions. If you have questions, here's how you can ask them. If you want to click on the QA, you will type your question into the box and click Ask, and then I will go through them and I will ask them to Chan Young. Okay, Chan Young, our first question is referencing back to the motorcycle endorsement. Can you explain, is endorsement required for three-wheeled vehicles and mopeds and scooters?
Well, we don't require motorcycle endorsement for the moped with under 50 cc's. I mean, definition of the moped and scooters are a little bit unclear at this moment, because there are people can call it scooter, but there are the scooters with the 220 cc's, which also can carry the passenger. But Florida statute, I don't recall the whole statement on the top of my head, but if you are looking for, if you are operating the moped under 50 cc, you don't need to have, you need to register the vehicle, but you don't need to obtain a motorcycle endorsement. For the trike, right now the trike definition is different state by state, but instead of in state of Florida, you do need to obtain the motorcycle endorsement. And I think beginning of this year, some of the schools that will start to offer trike specific courses. So basically, you can take your trike and then get the train and endorsed on the FRTP school. So, that's something I think that I was told by the FRTP at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Our next question is asking, do you have any information about 2011 crash data?
Yeah, as I just mentioned, in Florida, the DHSMB department is the official agency to produce the crash data, and they are still finalizing the 2011 crash data. Usually, the crash data should be coming out sometime in August, but this year there was some crash form change, so it takes a little more time than used to be. But some of the numbers that I obtained from the CAR system, the crash analysis reporting system, which is maintained by the Florida Department of Transportation, we see the increase. We see some significant increase in motorcycle fatalities.
Okay, let's see. Our next question is, were you able to determine how many of the crashes and fatalities involved motorcyclists from outside of the state of Florida?
I think I saw the number a long time ago, but it depends on the time of the year. But on average, I think about 90% of our crash is coming from this Florida resident.
Okay. Our next question is, did you break down the risk avoider, risk acceptor, and risk seeker by age and gender and bike type and et cetera?
That's something that we haven't done it yet. Yeah, but I think certainly there will be interesting stuff that we can do. Yeah.
Okay. Another question here. Has the training remained the same over time, or has it changed in any way?
I mean, BRC course has been, I think it's been, there are like continuous effort for the QA and QC to make sure that proper education being delivered to the potential motorcycle riders. However, I'm not sure that between 2008 and 2000, now, there was any significant change in the motorcycle, the BRC curriculum.
Okay, the next question is, are there any casualty statistics on the death rates, also known as single vehicle or at fault, et cetera, to gain more insight on whether the motorcyclist was the cause of the fatality?
Yeah, that's like one of the common questions when people talk about motorcycle crashes and say who are the at fault motorcycle, who are the at fault driver, is the motorcyclist or the car drivers. We see like it's about 50-50, but something also interesting is we also look at the single vehicle crash, but usually motorcyclists, that their injury severity is on average is higher when there is a single vehicle crash.
Okay, our next question is coming from, okay, the next question is, did the study results determine if the motorcyclist or the driver was at fault? I think that was kind of similar to what we just answered. And then another question I have here is kind of a question about CUTR. Does CUTR lobby the legislative branch to change any laws regarding motorcycles, or do we just gather data and publicize this?
I mean, CUTR is not the position to lobby anything to the Florida legislature, especially for the motorcycle safety. But we do house the Florida Safety Coalition, which is being developed and maintained, supported by the Florida Department of Transportation. And I think our role is analyzing the data and then the process the data and provide some guidance for the DOT to pursue the opportunities that they can address and improve the motorcycle safety. Okay,
sounds good. Well, again, that's probably, we don't have any more questions. If you think of any questions after the webinar is over today, you'll have the contact information for us, so feel free to send us an email, and we'll be glad to address those questions with you. And I'll turn it over to Jennifer to tell you about our next presentation.
Thanks, Kristen. Our next webcast will be on November 15th, and our topic will be best practices in bus dispatch. So we hope that you'll be able to join us for that webcast as well. And there will be no webcast on the 1st of November. So that one is canceled, and then we will have our next one on the 15th. We do have an evaluation. We'd like your thoughts and feedback and your suggestions for future sessions. So if you please just take a minute to complete the evaluation. We have also applied for AICP credit through the American Planning Association for today's webcast. So if you plan on seeking that credit, we definitely need your evaluation. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I'd like to thank you for your participation and your great questions. And I'd like to thank Dr. Lee for presenting and Kristen for moderating. I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thanks.